Hey everyone, this is Mark Blanton from the Real South Africa. Welcome to our channel. If you've never been here before, make sure you like and subscribe to everything that we see, everything that we do, leave comments. But today we're at a very posh location, as you can see, and we're talking to one of our special people. Her name is Dr. Kris Marsh. She came with us some time ago, but now she's back because guess what she's doing? She's promoting her book called The Love Jones Cohort. We want you to stay with us on this interview and enjoy. All right, guys, this is Mark Blanton from the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism. You guys know exactly who we are. We got a few people sitting at this table, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves pretty easily. You probably recognize this person over here. This is Tasha. Obviously, she's over there. She's eating chips and whatnot. And then we got this brother over here. His name is Michael. Right?
Stanley. Like, right.
No, his name is Stanley, but we call him Michael. There's an inside story.
Yeah, inside story
on that. But he's also he's eye candy. At this point, at least that's what
inside story, right?
That's what I've been told. He seems to be a good brother. He's 2 meters tall, which is in U.S. numbers, that's 6'5", I think you said, right?
So he says the jury is still out. We think he might be about 6'3" and a half.
Yeah. It's called embellishment, y'all. It's called embellishment.
Tall people do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then of course across from me in the red, is that red or orange?
It's orange. It's orange.
It's orange. Okay.
Yeah.
In the orange
family.
From the University of Maryland at College Park, right?
Yes.
I wanted to say College Park.
No, College Park.
I just wanted to say it.
Right?
I think I said it right. She's done so many things. We're going to talk about a few things, but ultimately we're going to talk about this right here. So why don't you tell them who you are? What's your deal?
Okay.
Talk to them.
Okay. So hello. It's a pleasure to be on this video with you all. My name is Dr. Kris Marsh. I'm a sociologist and a demographer from the University of Maryland, College Park. I am here in South Africa to promote a book that I just wrote. The title of the book is called The Love Jones Cohort, Single and Living Alone in the Black Middle Class. Most of my research talks about the Black middle class. I want to study avenues into the Black middle class and a consequence of being in the Black middle class. And in spaces like this, it's important for me to say one of the things that was really important to me as an academic is to make sure that when I talked about certain demographics and certain groups, I did not want to pimp the poor to make my academic career. I wanted to look at Black folks who had, quote unquote, done everything right. They went to college, they got degrees, they had big houses, they had big salaries, but their outcomes did not look the same as other racial and ethnic groups. And so here I'm talking about the demographic shift in the Black middle class in America away from married couples to young Black professionals who aren't married and don't have any children. So there's a rise in singlehood across the globe. It's definitely happened in America. It's also happening in South Africa. So the book really is just trying to destigmatize singlehood. And what I mean by that is that we often ask married people, like we ask single people, why are you single? Why aren't you single? Why aren't you married? Why don't you have any children? We very rarely ask married folks, why are you married and why do you have children? The fact that we always ask single folks about their status, we don't ask married, it privileges marriage. And so I'm really just trying to destigmatize singlehood, have people stand confidently in their singleness, and then think about getting into a relationship. So I'm all for relationships, but I think it's really important that we first understand our singlehood first.
Well, you are definitely into relationships. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna. I'm here.
But it's got to make sense, right?
Yeah.
So what happens a lot of times is people don't want to hold the title of single, and because they don't want to hold the title of single, they'll end up in any kind of relationship. A relationship that can be oppressive, toxic, unfulfilling, and abusive. So the book is trying to say you don't have to take those kind of relationships. You can stand confidently in your singleness.
So she's definitely an academic.
I am.
As we must say. And I'm super proud that we got an opportunity to chat with her, meet with her.
Yes.
For a lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons that we actually met her, because we have a previous story. I'm going to tell the version of the story.
Okay.
And if there's any part that I missed.
I'll add in any other parts.
This is the part that she doesn't realize. This was 2017 before I moved permanently, or 2016, one or the other.
2016, I think was before.
2016, before I moved permanently to South Africa. I was still pretty active here in South Africa, and a lot of people knew that I was coming here a lot for various reasons. Oh yeah, we got some drinks coming on, everybody. So just.
It's not drinks. It's hot water with honey.
I was talking about my drink.
Right. I'm a teetotaler. I don't consume alcohol.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't.
A big SAT word, teetotaler.
Okay.
When you don't consume alcohol, that's what they call it.
Okay.
Somebody told me that. It's a teetotaler. Don't ask me how to spell it, but that's the word they say. It's like when you don't consume. You abstain.
You know everybody just learned something, right?
Yes, a teetoler.
Like
I think you
everybody.
spell it. I don't know how to spell it. Teetoler. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you. I gotta put my glasses and tell you how to spell it. Hold on.
This
Okay.
is crazy, huh, Stanley?
Okay. Go ahead.
No, we're getting this information directly from the University of Maryland at College Park.
Teetoler. and College Park shows up.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, shoot. All right. So finish with your story.
So here we are. I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm at the post office in Virginia, and I get this phone call from this person who's just talking really fast and saying, "Hey, my name is Kris Marsh, and I need to talk to you about South Africa because I'm supposed to be going there for a Fulbright study."
Right.
And so I need to know basically everything that I need to know so I can make sure that my stay there is successful. Like, where am I going to stay? What am I going to do? This, that, and the third. And a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, it was a friend of a friend.
Right. Oh, I thought, okay.
No, it was a friend of a friend.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it was a friend of a friend gave you my number and ... So we assisted you with getting here. And it seems like we're still doing that these days. We found a place for her to stay, and I think you stayed here for like a year.
Right, because you would send me videos of the place. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So it's crazy. And so now here we are, full circle,
Right.
sitting here in South Africa. And I noticed that you talked about, because I think part of your study was the middle class in South Africa too, right?
Right. So
Now tell them a little bit about that.
okay, so teetotaler, how you spell it? Teetotaller. Teetotaler, a person who never consumes alcohol.
Yeah.
That's our word for the day.
Okay.
So I did a Fulbright scholarship here in 2017. So
Yeah.
just in case you may not know what a Fulbright is, you have to write an application to the federal government, and they have to approve you. In fact, President Obama had to approve me to come be an ambassador of education in South Africa to study the black middle class. And part of the reason why I wanted to study the black middle class in South Africa is because when I told my mother that I was going to South Africa, she was like, "Baby, do they have paved roads?" And I was like, "See, now mother, I got to write a whole book about the black middle class in the South African context, because if we're not careful in America, when you say South Africa, you think of HIV, famine, AIDS, and apartheid. But there is a thriving black middle class. So I wanted to interview people that were in the black middle class, and I wanted to write a book about being black and middle class in the South African context, because not a lot of the social science literature actually looks at that. Now, because I'm in South Africa and I worked with other black scholars that were here in South Africa, it was really important to me that I wrote the book with a South African publisher and not with an American publisher, because I didn't want to come to South Africa, exploit the data, exploit the people, and then take the information back to the US and write a book. So I haven't quite finished that book yet, but it's coming. So while I was in South Africa, I was still working on the book that just came out this year. It took 7 years for me to write this book, but I think it's a really compelling story about people that are single and living alone in the black middle class.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
now you're telling me that you couldn't have wrote this book unless you came here.
So
Not this particular book and the other book that's coming. You had to come here.
Yes. So this book, I didn't necessarily have to come to South Africa to write this book, but I'm glad that it did, because it helped me to write the book. Having spent some time with people that I consider the salt of the earth, there's so many beautiful people here in South Africa. I just felt so confident in my blackness and calling out the anti-blackness that exists in most social institutions in America. Had I not come to South Africa, I'm not sure the book would have been written the same way. So I'm glad that I came. But the other book that's talking about the South African middle class, of course I had to come here. I had to talk to people in the black middle class, and then I'm going to write a
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that you couldn't do like a lot of our people that say, well, I did my research, and they go on Google and they do a little bit of research, and now they're pretty much scholars on South Africa. So you telling me you couldn't have done that?
Oh, absolutely not. You need experiential knowledge. I needed experiential knowledge. I needed to be here. I need to feel, talk, rub shoulders with the black South Africans that were middle class. I can't just pick up a Google or Wikipedia page and write about the black middle class.
Okay.
Similar to trying to understand about South Africa, you have to be here to understand about South Africa.
Yeah.
Something you can't conceptualize, you cannot put into words. And one of the things is South Africa. You have to be here to feel the essence of South Africa. I guarantee you, you will forever be changed when you come to South Africa and spend some time in South Africa. That is not a promotion for the real South Africa.
Yeah, that's just the truth.
But it's a promotion for yourself. If you do nothing else, make your way to South Africa as soon as you can. Tell them Kris Marsh sent you.
Yeah. But the good part about it is, and then you also said, and I fully agree with you, people just need to come here because your viewpoint on a lot of things will change once you spend some time here in South Africa, which, again, writing your new book, you stated that coming here to South Africa was an influence.
Yes.
In your book.
Yes. Yes. It really, really was. It really was. And I think what's unfortunate is that, especially if we're talking about the American context, we are taught about South Africa from a Western American perspective. And if you want to get your own perspective, just come here. Come here with an open mind and try to see what the similarities are with what you've been told and what the differences are of what you've been told. And you'll be astonished on how different South Africa is from what you've been told and what you've been taught. Yeah. Yeah.
So now let's get a little bit more into the book. I mean, you gave the basis of the book. But let's say somebody who, they're out there seeking knowledge. They don't have a professor at home that can teach them things. But there's this young lady named Dr. Kris Marsh. She's from the University of Maryland, well-read, everything. I think you graduated several people over the last few
absolutely,
years.
Yes.
At least 3 or 4.
Oh God, 12, maybe. like, come on, give me a dozen. Come on now. Golly, I'm working in these academic streets.
There you go. No, that's good. And then obviously your level of education. Then of course your knowledge. And then I heard you say you were a demographer.
Yes.
That's some serious crap. I think when I first met you, I went straight there.
Right.
I was like, man, that's crazy.
And so for those that may not know, just, a quick vocabulary lesson.
Yeah.
So as a sociologist looks at social organizations and social institutions. If we think of a psychologist tries to deal with the individual and any issues the individual might be having. A sociologist tries to look at social institutions like economy, churches, family, and try to get a better understanding of what's happening with social institutions. And a demographer looks at demographic trends. So we try to build statistical models to understand fertility, mortality, like the life course, how long you'll live, and stuff like that. So one of the reasons why I wanted to be a demographer is because there's an assumption in the U.S., I'm not sure if it's here as well in South Africa, that black folks don't know how to do numbers. And I wanted to show you that I know how to build statistical models. I know how to do standard coefficients and how to calculate standard coefficients and logistical regressions and synthetic cohort analyses. I can do all of that.
Can you say it quicker?
Yeah, probably could. But right. But the point is, really, whether you know any of those terms or not, there's a certain assumption that black folks can't do numbers. Yeah. And so I wanted to show that you can do numbers. So the first part of my academic career, I built a lot of statistical models showing that there was a demographic shift in the black middle class away from married couples to young black professionals. So this here, the book is now, I built the models. I've clearly established that the group is here. So now I wanted to know more about the group. So I often say I wanted to put metaphorical meat on the numerical bones that I built over the years. The numbers would only take me so far. And to really be thoughtful about this group of people, I had to interview them and have conversations with them. Yeah. So in the book, you're going to hear their stories come to life, and they're going to talk about what their experiences are being single and living alone in the black middle class.
If you're not impressed at this point, just leave.
Right.
Just leave. I mean, it's impressive because we need, obviously, in our community of black people, regardless of where you find them, we need people like this that can actually put all this together and present it in a way that
is accessible.
Like your book is accessible.
Yes. Okay. There's a little clarification I got to put on that part. Okay. Now, it is an academic book. It's it's published by Cambridge University Press. So that's a top academic press in the world. Yeah. So if you read the introduction and chapter one, it's theoretically dense. It is. Admittedly so. When I was copy editing the book, it took me an entire day to read through the introduction and chapter 1. And I am not a theoretical person. So I was like, yeah, let's get to the good stuff. Okay. So once you get to chapter 2, it's a very different read. It's much more accessible. But because it isn't academic press, I had to lay out the theoretical arguments at first. So I would love for you to read all of it, but if you don't want to read all of it, just skip to chapter 2 and it'll be much more accessible. But for me as a scholar, I wanted to make sure that my work was accessible to people who don't have college degrees. And I thought I did a very thoughtful job teaching you something, but also making it very accessible along the way. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything in there in particular inside of your book, the Love Jones cohort? How'd you come up with that name?
Oh,
how'd you come up with that name?
Oh, that's interesting, and I'm grateful because it's a conversation piece. For some people that know, they know. So when they say Love Jones, they're like, okay, Dr. Marsh, I see what you did right there. And for people that don't know, they're like, interesting title. Let me buy the book. So either way, I'm getting book sales because the title itself is engaging. So for those that don't know, I'm going to give you the footnote version of what's in the book. Okay. So Love Jones is based on a movie in the U.S. So when in America, if we think of like the quintessential or the typical black middle class family, people often think about, I'll ask my table here. If we think about like the quintessential black middle class or upper black middle class family on TV, who do we often default to?
I mean, obviously it's the Huxtables.
The Cosby Show. Absolutely. Yeah. So that was thought of as like the typical black middle class or upper black middle class family. But then Love Jones, the movie, you started to see a demographic shift in the characters. You now had young black professionals who weren't married and didn't have any children. What's interesting is that media seemed to get that there was a demographic shift in the black middle class, but the social science literature still had this subtle argument that to be middle class, you had to be a mother, a father, 2.5 kids,
and
a dog, and a black picket fence. And that's not, in fact, the case. There's a demographic shift. So I wanted to hearken and pay respect to the Love Jones, the movie.
Great movie, by the way.
Right, it is great.
It's one of my favorites.
This last year was the 25th anniversary. So this year is the 26th anniversary.
Yeah, they did a lot of interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm getting some love because of the movie.
It's one of a few movies that I've actually downloaded. And I used to watch it when I was in Virginia. I used to watch it every quarter. I just had to put it on.
Right.
And then you try to walk away, and then you like, oh
you
God.
watch it like you've never seen it, which is the part that I don't understand because he really watches the movie a lot.
I love it.
Have you seen Love Jones? Okay, so all right, I'm gonna watch Love Jones. And then cohort is nothing more than a band of people or a group of people. It's a traditional demographic term, but to the point that I was making earlier, I wanted to be able to expose people to terms they may not necessarily have before. So if people who are not in academia are now using the word cohort, that's a win for me. I exposed you to demographic terms that you may not have known before. So that's how I came up with the term, the Love Jones cohort.
Okay.
She was teaching you something.
I'm teaching y'all something.
It was well thought out, and like I said, it's funny because I like the fact that we're both African Americans. Last time I checked, I know I am.
Am I right?
And Natasha is, and we're in Africa having this conversation.
Yes.
Which again, when we grew up, it was the last place to go.
Right.
And we're here in Africa having these academic conversations. We are literally, changing the narrative that these things do happen. Right. And then, of course, I think you mentioned earlier about the South African middle class. I'm sure that I'm just waiting for that information because because just being here as a witness, so to speak, I think they're coming up pretty strong. That's just me. I think probably faster than which we did in the United States.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so are you agreeing with me?
Yes.
Okay.
There's definitely an emergence of the black middle class in the South African context. Yeah. And when I collect some of the data in 2017 for the black middle class in South Africa, I heard the rumblings of the singlehood story show up. So the two books will complement each other, and they'll speak to each other, and they'll engage each other. Yeah.
Excellent.
So I'm excited.
Okay, I think we should all be, taking advantage of, the offerings from the doctor here. We should. Yeah. And obviously, you guys have been seeing this book sitting here the entire time. It was carefully placed there.
Yes, it was.
For some odd reason. Yeah. And we're in a beautiful place, and we're sitting at a beautiful table with good people and whatnot. So if somebody said, you know what, I want to find this book. First of all, I'm sure you have social media handles.
Yes.
People can reach out to you because I'm sure there are those that only speak on Instagram. I don't know who they are.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to buy the book, there's a couple ways in which you can buy it. You can go directly to my website. My website is Kris Marsh. That's DrKrisMarsh.com. It was the month of March, so it's not March, it's Marsh like marshmallow. Or else you can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I think I'm on LinkedIn, I think I'm on TikTok. And my handles for all of those are Dr. Kris Marsh as well. And so the other thing that I think is really important with the book, the title of the book is The Love Jones Cohort, Single and Living Alone in the Black Middle Class. This book is written for everybody. It is not just written for black folks. It is not just written for middle class folks, nor is it just written for single folks. Here's what's interesting about the title single. We have all been single at some point in time. That's one identity that we have all held at some point in time. Some of us have gone on to get married. Some of us have continued to be single. So whether or not you're single or whether or not you're married, you can learn something in this book. Either how to strengthen your marriage, how to be confident in your singleness, or how to interact with your single friends. I also have determined that I'm always going to interject myself at the black middle class stage. But even if you're not black and you're not middle class, I think there's a really important conversation about how we think about singlehood, how we want to destigmatize singlehood, how every social institution pushes us to be partnered and pushes us to be married. We're conditioned from a very young age thinking that we have to be in a partnership and a marriage. I am all about black love and black marriage, but it has to be done right. Please don't decide that you don't want to hold the title of single, so you're so emphatic about it that you're going to take any kind of relationship. So I'm offering a different perspective. Everything caters to a marriage and partner market. I'm giving a different narrative, a different perspective that you can wrap your mind around. And then if you do decide to partner, you first feel very confident in who you are individually before you decide to link up with someone else.
So we're telling our story.
We're telling our story.
Damn it. We actually get to tell our story, and then of course after you finish reading the book and reaching out to Kris and sending emails, you can always, share with others.
Yes.
Spread the word.
Oh yes, please and thank you. Please.
Spread the word, because this woman has done done some beautiful work here.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to let everybody know.
Yeah, so it is on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. You can also buy it at the Cambridge University Press website. In fact, on Amazon, I'm the #1 bestseller in gender studies and economics right now. So keep the momentum going, please, and thank you. I think you can learn. Everybody should be able to learn something from this book. And whether you buy my arguments or not, at a minimum, I hope that you will at least pause and think about how we openly sometimes discriminate against single folks. And after reading the book, hopefully you're less likely to ask single folks why they're married, and you're just as likely to ask somebody why you are married. And it's interesting because people often ask singles about their lifestyles. And the book is really trying to celebrate singles' lifestyle. I'm tired of the conversation about why aren't singles getting married? What do we know about them? What are they doing? So I'm trying to celebrate the lifestyles of the singles as opposed to make it a deficit model. Why aren't you married? Why aren't you have children? That's easy. That's been done. That's been done so often. But there's very few that highlight their lifestyle. Whether you like their lifestyle or agree with their lifestyle, just read it and tell me what you think about it. But we don't pay respect or homage to singles and what they are doing. If you're not married, if you're not a mother or a father, then you're not seen in society. So I'm now allowing you to be seen. So you definitely want to pick up the book. You want to read the book, and you want to let me know what you think about it.
Good plug.
Yes. But I also think, people often think like if I get married, if I can just get married, my life will be so much better. So marriage becomes like a panacea. It's like all my ills will go away. I do wish, and I admonish married folks to be more honest about what married life is like. We don't talk enough about it. Single folks talk about the issues that we have about dating and so on and so forth. But married folks don't talk about their issues. So I'm calling married folks out like, let's have a conversation. Sip tea.
Well, I was going to defend us married folk, but this isn't the platform to do that right now.
But we can open up for conversation later. I will come back. Read the book.
Okay, but let me say this but again, this is because, a lot of South Africans and a lot of Africans, believe it or not, see our content. So let's say here in South Africa, they should be able to find the book as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, the arguments are universal. I simply chose to use Black Americans as the example, but the arguments in the book are universal. I think we really have to think about how we stigmatize singlehood. So much so that people end up in relationships that aren't even good for them because they don't want to be single. And they don't want to be thought of as being single. We do that. And that ain't just happening in America. Yeah. That's happening across the globe. And now we got a new movement. I've given you a narrative. I've given you a voice. I've given you a term. So you can stand confidently and flat foot in your singleness and not have to take a subpar relationship. Period. Full stop.
I love it. she hits you.
Is there a mic? I'm dropping a mic if there's a mic.
I was getting ready to call my boy Kevin, but he's not here right now. Kevin Sanders and say, hey.
Oh, right. I wish he was still alive so we could have those conversations.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But that's another story.
Yeah, for another day.
We're having a good time right now.
Yes.
But so what was something else? So why you keep coming back to South Africa? Why?
This is home. This is home. I honestly feel like I'm home when I'm here.
Okay. Tell them more. I mean, because people are like, well, it's only like you got to have an excuse for this to be home.
Right.
But this isn't. You can just come here, and once you connect.
Right.
This is my thoughts, and you can come with your own free willing thoughts because you don't seem to not have enough of them. This is my friend, by the way. Yeah, it's my friend, by the way. But no, it's home.
Right.
And you don't have to be apologetic.
Right. So if we want to talk about another big word, right? So I'm very parsimonious. I'm very stingy with my words in some ways. Parsimonious. I don't know how to spell it. Look it up.
Yeah.
But parsimonious. I don't have. This is home. Mm-hmm. I'm unapologetically black. This is home.
Yeah.
I'm not giving any more explanation. I don't need to.
Yeah.
Find out for yourself why this is home. But no, okay. But no, if we think about it, okay, so let me put on my academic hat for a second. I really want to leave it at the conversation of this is home.
Sure.
You got to feel this when you get here.
That's the only way you're going to do it.
Right.
You can't do it on the internet.
Right. But because you're asking the question, I at least want to provide an answer.
Sure.
But unapologetically, I'm black, and I'm okay with just saying that. But if I had to give an academic answer, in the U.S., black Americans make up 13% of the U.S. population. Mm-hmm. In South Africa, blacks make up 80% of the South African population. We could talk about who holds power. That's another conversation for another day. So I'm going to see blackness everywhere I go when I come to South Africa. And I appreciate that. It really does matter. And to the point that was made earlier in the conversation we were having, I don't have to think about my blackness when I get here.
Yeah.
And in America, it can be exhausting. Yeah. I wouldn't give my blackness back. Like I said, I'm unapologetically black, but it's not easy being a black woman. It's not easy being a single black woman. Read the book. In America, I can exhale when I get here, and this feels like home.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That we can actually exhale. This brother, he's been exhaling the whole time since he's from Africa.
Yes.
And he says anywhere he is in Africa is home.
Right. Yeah.
So we need to explore that and stop getting too deep into the politics and start getting too deep into the minutia and just get on the plane. Obviously a lot of thousands or so people have called us, came through, and I think you was like one of the first ones.
Right. Yeah. I helped launch the company.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
I'm the founding client.
Yeah. This was the first ones. And so
because y'all was doing that thing for me. Y'all were doing it for me. God bless you. God bless you.
You didn't have any boots on the ground.
And, some places you were like, I don't want you here. I was like, okay.
I was like, she's not going to like this. This is not going to work.
I was like, you knew, you was feeling me. You were like, we were kindred spirits.
Well, we had enough conversation for you to tell me what you liked. And I was like,
I'm not even good.
I'm like, female to female, she ain't gonna
feel you're like, someplace like, I'm not getting out the car, like, I'm taking a picture, no. I was like, okay.
Then I did a walkthrough for you. You was like, this could work, this could work.
Yeah.
And we ultimately found the place that you actually...
That was for a year.
We did the whole lease and stuff for you and helped you with the paperwork and got it to you. And
my gosh.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. That was like ages ago.
But we got it done.
Yeah, we got it done. And now I'm back. As every chance I get, I try to come here. I was like, and as soon as the book was published and I knew it was going to be out, I called my friends in South Africa and said, can we have the discussion and can we have the conversation? And they welcomed me with open arms. And I was just on the radio and had a really good conversation. I've talked at
Power 98.7.
I talked at 3 universities, actually before by the time that I end up leaving here. And so I've left people at least with stuff to think about. You don't have to buy my arguments, but engage with the conversation. People are engaging with the conversation. So much so I've got invitations to come back, so I'll probably be back in August again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And then we're hopefully we can set it up where we can go golf.
Yes.
This time.
Yes.
We're going to go recreationally golf.
Yeah, recreational golf. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know which is the best golf club to go to, but
we'll find them. We can try a couple of them.
Yeah, I think we can go to Soweto.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we got to go down to Soweto.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right, everybody. We really appreciate you guys listening to us, following through. I will co-sign on purchasing the book on all the platforms.
Yes.
And whatnot. Obviously, pass this video around, let everybody see it, and say, hey, man, these are great, wonderful things that involves all of us of color.
Right.
All of us.
All of us.
So let's take advantage of this offering, and thank you, Dr. Kris Marsh. I think that's the second time I call you Doctor.
I know.
I just call you Kris.
So I'm going to give you my website and my handles one more time to make sure. So if you want to get the book, you can go directly to my website, and there's links to Cambridge as well as Amazon. And my website is drkrismarsh, drkrismarsh.com, or else you can find me on all of the social media platforms at the same handle, drkrismarsh. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in South Africa soon.
Peace.
Come and visit beautiful Cape Town. Be a tourist in the City of Gold, Johannesburg. Enjoy the warm water of the Indian Ocean in Durban. Interact with wildlife on a private game reserve. Luxury 5-star hotels. And of course, world-class spas. Contact The Real South Africa today for your African adventure.
On our website and Amazon Prime. All right, everyone, The Real South Africa, we got packages to Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, and other places. We would love for you guys to come and enjoy what South Africa has to offer. And of course, as your travel and tourism experts here in South Africa, we can make it all come true. Now, we all know you guys have dreams and aspirations of coming to Africa. A lot of us do, and of course we did too, and that's why we're based here in Johannesburg, the City of Gold. A very awesome place, and you're going to enjoy it once you get here as well. What do you get when you get here? Well, first of all, when you land here in South Africa, we take care of everything. We make sure your accommodations are good. We make sure your airport pickups are perfect. There'll be somebody standing there with a sign. We also make sure that the places that you're going to visit are carefully curated for you, of course, and then you got to eat. So what do? We put you in a perfect scenario regardless of what city you're in, so you can actually have a great meal with friends and family, or even if you come by yourself, no problem, we're going to take care of that too. But isn't this amazing? So this is what we can do for you. So basically all you have to do is just reach out to us on our website, therealsouthafrica.com. And of course, once you get here, we got you. Now, of course, South Africa offers spa treatments. They're absolutely amazing. And a lot of people just love it simply because they never thought they can get a spa treatment in Africa. And then of course, we always provide you guys with opportunities to see special animals out in their own environment and so forth. The only thing that you have to do at that point, after you've been afraid from the animals, is to get on a plane, come here to South Africa, and enjoy yourself. So we will see you here in what we like to call sunny South Africa. Oh, and by the way, you'll get an opportunity to shop as well. So book your trip today.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on all things The Real South Africa. Thanks again.